The Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal big footy rules still apply. This is the Flogcast for round 15. The membership microwaver from Richmond Starburns is here, and I'm joined by Mr. Moral Victory from St Kilda Cookson.
Go you Saners! Woohoo!
Proud attendee of Friday night's cold and wet Collingwood game, Morgan Ashley.
Wasn't the only thing that was wet.
Oh, Jesus!
The brains behind Hawthorn's pink and brown Guernsey that they wore on the weekend. Penal.
Yeah, that pink and brown Guernsey made all the ladies at the ground wet.
All three of them.
Does those three women at the ground include Jasny?
No.
And finally, after a somewhat noticeable absence, we have the number one fan of Stephen Motlop from Geelong, Teach.
That little fucking fat cunt. I'm here.
Goo tears time. Who wants to go?
Goo. A big helping of goo. We'll go for this young Sebastian Ross, who decided to show Patrick Dangerfield being the one-way front-running cunt that he is. So
You
on
better
your
fucking watch it, smart ass, or you'll knee you in the head and get away with it too.
Well, it wasn't Ross. Ross was too busy running away, doing defending, which is a foreign concept to Dangerfield. Still on your set. And also a small goo for Jade Gresham, who decided to break Tom Lonergan's ankles and pride with a beautiful sidestep. Just goo all around, really. More goo, helping a goo. And Maverick Weller goo, which is always important for Jasmine.
Oh yeah, can't forget that.
Oh, I think Penal wanted to do that. You stole Penal's goo.
Usually Teach does that.
Plenty of goo to go around.
I've got goo. I'm keeping with the buy-around theme of buy-around suck. So I've got goo for ESPN 3030 OJ Made in America. If you have 8 hours, which you do because you're listening to us, spend your hours wisely and go and watch it. Seriously, all you need to do is get the Watch ESPN app. You can catch up. It is magnificent.
It's probably on YouTube by now, basically every 30 for 30 years, and they don't seem to take them down. So, yeah, I'm up to part 2. I've been hinted that part 5's amazing, or just crazy. So,
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that.
5, and it is magnificent.
Unfortunately, at the rate this takes to edit, I won't get to watch it for another 3 weeks, but hey.
It's a slight burn if you can sit through the first one. But the first episode really does give you a background as to how everything occurred the way it did in the OJ trial. So it is a fantastic watch.
Does it include the Wookiee defense?
That comes in like part 3 or 4.
Right, okay.
I've just seen part 2 and he hasn't killed her yet, but I think he's just about to.
No Braden Maynard goo?
Never.
Who? Braden Lanyard?
Who wants to next?
Well, seeing as Fathead Cookie over there's gone and sucked off his satyrs, I'll go with tears for that little downhill skiing spunk rag bubble prickhead dickhead Motlop, who can make the easiest thing in football look like you're trying to navigate an ocean liner through the eye of a needle. How frustrated was I with him?
You're making it look like you're trying to find East Geelong, you mean?
Mate, you know where East Geelong is. And if you don't, I'll come round and I'll drag you by your hair down there and rub your face in the post of the pavement. But yeah, Stephen Motlop, you idiot. Get out.
I heard Starburns was auditioning for Mayor of Geelong.
Well, have you got your fake abs put in yet?
Got real ones, mate.
Oh,
The only midget with abs.
It's easier when you're small.
Because no one can see they're painted on.
That leaves myself for Penal. I'll go. Tears.
What's the matter? Tell Uncle
Tears for
Teach.
Richmond. Just put a fucking side away, please. I go and sit through the shit fests against the good teams where, it's barely competitive and it's frustrating, or the struggled wins against Gold Coast Suns, who admittedly, they were shit, but they were better than they had been, and, they were trying, at least. But when you come up against a team as shitful as Brisbane, who, frankly, I have my doubts they will beat Essendon in a fortnight, but we'll come to that then. When you play a team that abjectly shit and you ski to a pretty comfortable lead despite playing pretty poorly for 3 quarters, just put the fucking foot on the throat, because that team is really fucking bad. And I just wanted to see a fucking entertaining win against I don't care how shit they are. I just wanted to see us bury someone.
Well, you really should, shouldn't you?
Please, don't waste my time.
If you're in that position, you should bury him.
Yes, exactly. Well, you should bury that team anyway, unless you don't turn up. But really, they should have fucking won that by 80 to 100. And it's just frustrating because it's like, hey, can we smack a team? Can we enjoy that? Because you're not going to smack anyone else for the rest of the year. Because no one else is that shit. Can you smack this team, please? Yeah, so that's my tears. And then fucking Hardwick calls out Dustin Martin for only having 1 contested possession in the last quarter. Oh, you fucking mong. It's your fucking fault that this is such a shit fest. So yes, I'm done.
Oh, I seen Dustin Martin on Sunday. I took sneaky photos of him, as always.
No, you were at Vic Park, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at Vic Park. I did see Dusty and I did see Alex Rant. They weren't together, though. I wouldn't suspect they've ever spent a lot of time hanging out.
Not sure the church approves of Dusty's activities.
Well, the funny thing about that is, did you see Alex Rance's impassioned defence of Ben Cousins today?
Yes.
That struck me as strange.
Because Rance might think the power of Christ is a better drug.
The power of Christ compels you.
It also teaches forgiveness.
What do Jehovah's Witnesses even believe, Teach?
What's that with regard to what?
Well, just anything. Like, all religions have different, what makes them different to the more mainstream ones that we know about. I know you can't have birthdays and shit, which just doesn't sound fun.
So no birthdays, no Christmas, no Easter, that kind of stuff. No.
So it's basically, it's like God bothering, but without even living fun.
So it's like God bothering.
Yeah, pretty much. You can't do anything.
It's God bothering and hell at the same time. Like,
basically, if you don't do it, you're fucked. Right? If you're not a part of it, you're going to burn in, sort of like what happens in The End, that movie, with all of the actors playing themselves and getting burnt to bits one by one.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses are them at the end. They're going to heaven with the Backstreet Boys. Yeah?
No. Most of them stay on Earth, right? But Earth gets returned to a paradise. I don't know how that fucking works. Some bit of magic, God bling dust or something like that makes that happen. And then everyone else who wasn't a believer in it, like the rest of us, it's like, well, you're fucked because you don't have the power to stand up for God, and it's like, bzz, 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 we're all going to get fried. So no, he wouldn't hang around a lot with Dusty unless it was to try and bring him over to the good side.
To the faith.
To the faith, yeah.
Penal's the only one left.
Yeah, so you guys managed to avoid getting this as my goo last week, but I can't hold on any longer. It's the long-awaited Sicily goo explosion, because he just looked a class above out there. Dare I say it, a cut above the rest of the...
Oh, no, don't invoke that fucking name.
Yeah, he's just the best forward on the ground again, kicking 3 goals, taking big marks, big pack marks.
The best forward on the ground. It's pretty easy when you're playing the Gold Coast.
Well, they have Tom Lynch.
Yes, but he doesn't get good supply. And really, was Sicily better than Lynch considering how often the ball got to them?
I think so.
Oh, that's an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, the Suns hardly fired a shot after half-time.
There's a reason why this guy is the best forward since Peter Hudson. In fact, I think he's gone up in my reckoning since last week.
So better than Dustle.
He doesn't even 16 and 6.
Even better than Gary Ablett Sr. And we'll be talking about him as the best forward since Peter Hudson, who's obviously a good... Tasmanian boy. I don't think Sicily's a Tasmanian, but I'm sure they'll claim him down there. Also, a bit of goo for Sammy Mitchell for, telling it like it is again with regards to the Ablett getting special treatment from the umpires, which is Which is true. It's true. We all know it.
Free kick Hawthorn.
Free kick Ablett, more like it.
Free kick Hawthorn. I saw that a few times on the weekend. Fucking hell.
He was well in his rights to call out the umpire favouritism that Ablett receives.
That dirty little sniper? I don't think so.
Yeah. The only time Sam Mitchell's ever been accurate in calling anyone out was with the fake injection.
Yeah, precisely.
If he's not on his knees sucking dick for free, he's fucking kneeing somebody else.
I can't believe a Hawthorn supporter of all people and a Hawthorn player of all people would have a crack at Gary getting a few free kicks.
Same as Selwood whinging to the umpires. The irony is delicious. Just delicious.
And on that note, let's go to Geelong St Kilda.
He's just telling it like it is.
He's not. Hawkins tripped over his own fucking
No, I
gut.
meant Mitchell with the Ablett thing.
Oh, yeah, and Hawthorn get a fantastic ride. But no, Hawkins tripped over his own gut and Selwood has a fucking slip to the umpires. Like,
you stay away from Joel Selwood, Starburns. You're as short as it is. You don't want to get any fucking shorter, mate.
Mate, he would duck under.
I challenge him to duck under that little midget.
He'd be fucking limbo.
You could duck under Jose.
His eyebrows would get you.
But no, that was a fantastic game of football, and unfortunately it was overshadowed by some pretty shit umpiring that went both ways at times. It was certainly not the one-way street that, Hawthorn usually get, or that a certain St Kilda poster would have liked to pretend it was, but we might come to him a bit later in the podcast. But
it was a good game to watch. I mean, proper contested game of football. St Kilda's midfield taking it up to Geelong's midfield. Again, both defences were very good on the night because St Kilda kicked 3 goals from their key forwards, which is not that much for our standards.
I agree with you. I agree with you. It was a good game to watch, Cookie, especially since I've just finished watching Collingwood and Fremantle earlier in the day, which was a fucking atrocious game.
No, you would have been watching Richmond.
Oh, no, sorry. The night before, I should
GWS.
say. So the night before I watched Collingwood and Fremantle, it was an atrocious game.
Oh, did you really?
Most of the games this week were atrocious.
Did you watch it from the warmth and safety of your couch? Shut the fuck up.
Bloody oath I did. Like I'd wander down to the MCD to watch some shit like that when the team's not playing.
I fucking
Not
did.
like me and Alan.
And just, sorry, I meant to mention this in Gil Tears, and I just want to come back to it. I went to the game on Friday night. I went and saw Collingwood Fremantle, and there was one thing on my mind when it was first mentioned whether I should go or not. So I consulted and I checked the timetable, and you'd be pleased to know, Dan, that there were no replacement buses this week. Every line was working 100%, no replacement buses. So unfortunately, North just happened to be interstate. So I guess Metlink hate North or something.
I went to both games on Saturday.
It's just another example of a North conspiracy.
I went to both games on Saturday. No train delays, no buses, everything's fine. I'll say it was nice that there was one good game though, and that was our game. And probably
it was a good game to watch. I agree with you, Cookie. I thought that once that we got 9 points in front after putting in barely a quarter of effort, we were shocking, absolutely shocking in the first half. St Kilda came up and said, right, we're going to play. And they were desperate for the ball, and they won more contested ball for sure.
And they didn't have a Motlop fucking ruining all their momentum.
Oh, that stupid little fat fuck. The time when he hit the post, when he took the handball over the top from Hawkins, he kicked it at another Geelong player who was standing in front of the goalpost, and he's tried to get out of the way to let it through. I mean, he had the entire goal mouth. Why did he kick it straight at him? And then you could see him mouth the words, "Oh, get out the way. You stupid little fat shit. All you had to do is go 5 metres to the right and you've got a goal, or 5 feet even."
The thing that I found interesting, a lot's been made in the last couple of days about the 3 minutes to go, and it was a tight game, and Dangerfield and Motlop were on the bench and couldn't get on the ground. Everyone's talking about, how does this happen? It's like, Motlop's rightful place on Saturday night happened to be on the fucking bench.
Oh, yeah.
He was exactly where he needed to be in that game.
Well,
Dangerfield's a different story.
If they had Motlop out there on the ground, then that was the only thing keeping Geelong in it. Saints would have kicked 3 goals in 3 minutes if he'd been out there.
Still good, as I said in Goose, Seb Ross having a breakout year, which is good. Stephen, good again. Just goof for all.
His moustache is pretty shit, though.
What is it with St Kilda and fucking players with 2 first names? Jack Stephen, Seb Ross, Robert Eddie.
They're all called Jack. I guess when you've got that many Jacks, you need to start varying up the surnames or something? I don't fucking know.
You can never trust a man with 2 first names.
That's the word.
No.
And St Kilda have fucking 20 people named Jack. They have like fucking half the entries in the lottery, and they still can't even win the Australia's best Jack poll.
Because they're Jack shits.
No, the Rory Bowls, that's where it's at.
Saints versus the Cats. Anything else on that?
I couldn't believe people that I went to the game with were going, oh, you know, how much do you reckon we win by? And I was saying, have you guys actually watched the Saints recently? You know, they actually, when they're on, they are a good side.
Yeah, but they're not very good when they're not on. Like, they're really bad when they're not on.
Yeah, well, they were on Saturday night, and they made it happen. I actually said when we went on points up that we didn't deserve to win. And in the end, we didn't. So there you go. Prophetic speech.
They're almost like the new West Coast in that they go interstate and then they just turn to shit. So they seem to play all right at Melbourne, especially at Etihad, but interstate road trips are a real worry.
Tassie.
Well, that's not really interstate, is it? It's just across the ferry.
Of course it's interstate. It's your home.
It's not fucking worthy.
It's still weird, though, that Geelong can beat top 4 sides convincingly, yet lose to St Kilda, Collingwood and Carlton. It's just... something's maybe not right there mentally, or Chris Scott's a bit of a shit curse. It's bizarre.
Well, it was noted on AFL 360, actually, which I found quite funny, that there's been 5 games this year out of about 50-odd where a top 8 side has played a bottom 10 side, and only on 5 occasions has the bottom 10 side beaten the top 8 side, and 3 of those times are Geelong losing.
Yeah. Well done, dickheads.
I mean, they could be throwing away a home final.
I'd say mentally weak. You seem to be able to beat all the good sides.
You just could tell that they weren't switched on, and St Kilda were switched on. And in the end, a game of, doesn't matter where a team is on a ladder, it comes down to application and effort. And, you know, you can have all the structures you want in the world, but if you're actually not mentally switched on, you can get rolled. And they've proven it 3 times in a row. Playing sides well down the ladder from them.
Yeah, aren't you just lucky none of those teams are going to be there come finals time? You might lose to West Coast, though. Anything else on that game, Luke?
There wasn't much funny things about it, apart from Selwood cracking his shits at the end.
I think we do need to cover that a little bit more.
He's not a very good sportsmanship.
No, he plays outside the spirit of the game.
I'll get fucked.
He does. Oh, well, I'll come out and say it then. He's a fucking cheat.
No, and you're a short little cunt. Take that.
Better than simply just being a cheating cunt.
It's a hypocrisy of it. It's like, and you see Chris Scott as well whinging and bitching about the umpires. Like,
oh yeah, I did notice when Guthrie, I think it was when Guthrie got done holding the ball, we saw the rotating clown head from Brad Scott going on.
What that tackle that was too high?
It wasn't too high.
It was too high, and then it got turned into holding the ball in front of St Kilda's goal. That's the one you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about a different one where it wasn't too high.
Oh, okay. Because there was one they got a free kick for holding the ball, which was a too high tackle, and they got the free kick. St Kilda got the free kick, kicked a goal, and the exact same thing happened down the other end, and it was tackled too high, and St Kilda got a goal.
Either way, we saw the clown head, we saw the ping pong ball clown from Chris Scott the weekend. It's always great to see that from the Scott brothers.
I think he's getting a little bit more wary because he knows the cameras are on him, and he's because I saw him. He pulled in the clown face a couple of times because he was about to launch into the clown face, and he's like, oh,
he puckered up, did he?
He just puckered up and sort of got a bit snarly, and instead
Malthouse seed.
Do you reckon the brothers like practice that at home? Practice their reaction faces to each other?
They probably did that to their parents. You know, when one like pushed the other one's Lego blocks over.
They'd snipe each other as kids, and when their parents go, "What happened?" You're like, "Arms out." I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't me.
Nothing else on that game.
Nah.
All right, from one Scott brother to another, North versus the Crows on the Thursday. Love Thursday night games.
No,
seems like so long ago,
That's
though.
the good thing about it.
Yeah, it does. But, you know, I didn't realise until a couple of days later that the Crows actually kicked 28 behinds. I knew they kicked over 20, but I didn't think it was...
Geez, they were in
28. Holy fuck, I just realised.
Yeah, no, that's more than Fremantle usually score.
Yeah, 40 shots, 12 goals, and then probably a couple out on the full as well. They probably ran at about 25%, which is just atrocious.
Eddie should have kicked 6 for the X's.
Yeah, The X's are... The dynasty is over before it begun. We're imploding like West Coast at the moment, the X's. It's concerning. We need some real off-season recruitments. We need a big signing like a Wiedering or something just to destroy their defence.
Andreas Everett.
Fucking Troy Menzel's stuck in the twos, so...
Kane Lucas too.
Helping.
Just West Coast need to call him up for the Essendon game. It's not going to make a difference. Just sit him at Downhill's feet.
It's good to see like all the Rorys at Adelaide play well. Like St Kilda, we enjoy our Jacks. Adelaide enjoyed their Rorys.
So you like that, yeah? You've got that thing going. They've got their Rorys. You've got your Jacks. You're kind of like first name cousins sort of things.
Good name, yeah. It's like Sloan was just magnificent again. Like he's stepped up since Dangerfield left. And probably
I think Dangerfield was holding him back just quietly. The selfish front-running nature of Dangerfield.
Most likeable player in the league.
It was making Rory have to do more work defensively.
He was holding that whole club back. I mean, they're so much better without him.
Yeah, like, he doesn't even take St Kilda seriously. Or Seb Ross either. Like, fucking kneeing cunts in the head and everything. Which, speaking of, did anyone think he deserved anything for that?
Oh, that should have got 2 weeks, I reckon.
Oh, you stupid... Jesus.
Coming from the cunt who thought Luke Hodge was hard done by when he tried to kill Chad Wingard.
Yeah, exactly.
There was nothing in that, but I love the hysteria. Like, that's what bye weeks do. And it was great just to see Divvy Blues make a complete fucking mong of himself with starting that thread.
You'd have to be, like, really fucking biased against Geelong to think he deserved a suspension for that, which is why I think he should have got 2 weeks.
Yes. We kind of did work that out, Penal.
That's just one of those things where, once again, it's bye weeks and it's Dangerfield and it's just like, this is a fucking story. My God.
Yeah, it's one of those situations, and we saw it with Fife last year, where if you're the Brownlow medal favourite, you could fucking put your hand on a guy's chest and the media will talk it up as, will the MRP suspend him? But in actual fact, when it gets to the MRP stage, you would actually have to fucking stab someone, Nakaya style, to actually get a suspension if you're the Brownlow favourite. So it's kind of this weird situation where they'll talk up non-incidents as if there's something, but then something that you should get suspended for, you probably won't, like Judd Pavlich, Fife last year. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the Crows versus North. North took another hit, though, like, concerning for them. They were, the Crows kicking made that game look a lot closer than it was. And now North go to the bye outside the 4, is that correct?
Yeah,
they should do.
I think so.
Yeah.
So, with the easy part of their draw over.
They have a pretty tough draw, like, on the way home. Like, they'll probably limp into the lower half of the 8 on the back of maybe losing 7 of their last 10 or something, unless they turn their form around. Which, I guess, with their injuries, the bye's probably at a good time.
I think Thursday was a little bit too soon for them. They were still a bit concerned about how the hell they were going to keep the club running into next year after that big fine the AFL gave them. So, cut them some slack.
I guess the bye really couldn't have come at a better time, so we'll see how they go after it. But, like, they, along with West Coast, are probably a sneaky chance to just miss finals if they trip up on, like, a banana skin game like St Kilda, and that might be... almost send St Kilda into the 8 at North's expense.
Well, they would have already slipped up on the St Kilda banana skin if the umpires didn't fuck them.
That's true.
That's what Plugger told me anyway.
That's because North are lucky.
Bloody shot clock. North are always lucky. They were lucky again.
They were lucky
that Adelaide kicked 28 points. So Dan logic, they were lucky.
If they were lucky, they would have got more than $5,000 for their GoFundMe.
Is that only at 5?
Yeah, 5101.
So I think we all ended up wrong on our predictions last week for what it would be at Thursday. I think we were all overestimated North. They're even poorer than we thought.
And that's considering that $45 came from me and Reef.
Well, that's because Reef really cares about North, being a 3-year member.
He really does. Nothing else on, North versus the Crowbots?
Just didn't look like any stage that North were going to get close enough or we're going to win.
Well, it did because the Crows were keeping them in it. But
yeah, but it was so much one-way traffic for such long periods that you just knew that they were going to roll them at some stage.
It could have been an almighty choke if they didn't.
Drew Petrie's done, though. He's finished.
He's been done for ages, though. It's just like he just pulls out 1 or 2 games a year that keeps him going on so he can get to 300 and be the worst 300-game player of all time.
Yeah, he was being gifted games like Boomer to get the fucking record, and Petrie got gifted games to get to 300, and just shows how disgraceful North are. They want to spit in the face of the history of this great competition, all for the sake of a few personal records.
I'll tell you what,
They're shooting themselves in the foot.
Doesn't your dick grow by a couple of inches when you're on top of the ladder, eh?
Oh, well, we hadn't even mentioned that they're there yet. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thanks for reminding me. I didn't realise, but be sure to bring up.
Is that fapping sounds I can hear?
Maybe.
So yeah, nothing else. The Crows are putting together a decent run of form though, like notwithstanding that North might have had a soft run that pushed them to where they were, but...
What's Adelaide's run home like?
Soft. The Crows have done their tough run. They had all the tough teams early on, I think, and this was probably the last team in the 8 they haven't played, if I'm not
They have
mistaken.
Geelong in round 18, but that's about it, because they have Melbourne, Carlton, Collingwood, Geelong, Essendon in the next 5 weeks, then Brisbane and Freo, Port.
That's a very soft run home. They should finish top 4 off the back of that.
Well, the Giants have a similar one too, and it's the reverse of North. There are some teams that have really, done well through their early rough patch and are set to, if they don't fuck up, run to a top 2 finish.
The Giants will finish on top, going by what they've got left to play.
Yeah, well, they're currently equal with the Crows at the moment. They both have probably one game they'll lose each, maybe.
Yeah, I can see them slipping up somewhere, but you'd almost lock in Giants and Crows for top 4.
Yeah, you'd
and
think
then say
so.
the other couple spots are between Hawthorn, Geelong, Sydney.
I don't know what the Dogs' draw's like, but I don't think they'll get there. I think West Coast and North, though, they're uphill battles. And if it's uphill for West Coast, they will not get there.
I think West Coast and North are 7 and 8.
Let's go to the next game. Freo got a reality check on the Friday night. False form line rings true.
Hashtag Morgs was right.
I'm fucking sick of that hashtag. It's trending too hard.
Well, I should stop being right then.
I mean, Trelaw and Grundy were good to just destroy Freo.
Well, it didn't take much. Freo didn't really give...
They didn't put up a fight. It was back to the Freo of old where they kicked 5 goals in a game.
It's like it was too cold for all those Collingwood supporters who didn't go, and it was too cold for Freo too. It was like Collingwood's players turned up and no one fucking else.
One thing I noticed that Freo were particularly shit at hitting a target, like they were handballing to feet.
You noticed that this week?
Well, I mean, yeah, they've been doing it for the entire season, but they were really bad on Friday night. And again, if you turn up and put the effort in, concerted as a side, there's another example of it happening. But, not many people gave Collingwood a chance to get over them, but they did.
I tipped them. They made Travis Cloak look good.
We walked around.
Exactly.
We actually walked around them. Their lack of pressure, their lack of chase, their lack of want was just, ugh. They were yuck.
I believe they made Maynard look AFL standard, I heard.
No, they did not.
100 Supercoach points say otherwise.
Oh, yeah, we go by Supercoach points, Cookie. Fucking hell.
Oh, we go by Supercoach points.
681 overall, guys. Hashtag Morgs is a winner.
I will say it was also quite disturbing when Bruce McAvaney started perving over Matthew Pavlich's ass. That was a bit weird.
I heard about that. Yeah, what the fuck was with that?
Well, it's about time he upgraded into a real man rather than the weird little sneaky cunts he usually lusts suffer.
Well, he was talking about like Pavlich, he has like a nice ass or something. I haven't heard it, but I'd imagine something like that.
That's not a direct quote, I'm sure. And then Dennis said, it's centimetre perfect. Delicious, Den.
I can't believe he actually said that. Like, I know it was a shit game, there's probably nothing else to be talking about, but really, like, fucking hell.
Like Mason Cox kicking 2 goals, that would have been gooey.
Well, he generally seems to be good for 2 a week, most weeks.
He kicks 2 a game. Yawn. Next.
If you were to look at his average, it's probably pretty close to 2, give or take, point something or other.
Yeah, it'd be 2 goals, 7 disposals.
You can't complain about that at this stage.
But I'm not gooing over it because it's a regular occurrence. That's the kind of elite talent we have at Collingwood.
Oh, here we go. Had to head down a shitty path at some stage.
Oh, well, we're talking about Pav's ass. I was getting shitty from there.
But no, it was a shit game. And really, Freo were that shit that Collingwood probably suffered a little bit from what Richmond had the next day, in that Collingwood should have probably beaten them by more, should have actually established that dominance more, because Fremantle were just, words cannot express how shit they were. I was at that game, and I did not watch a second of live action. It was not that enthralling. We sat in the bar all fucking night watching it on TV because it was cold and it was shit. And nothing about that game made me want to step outside or even walk up to the glass and have a look. No.
Did you collect one of those boarding passes on your way in from the Emirates?
I did collect one of the boarding passes just in case we had a bad loss this year. I could go to Europe and escape.
Oh, you collected one. Me and Anal collected 430. Still didn't win.
What, would you just walk off with one of their piles?
Oh, not one. We walked off with a lot of piles. We walked like the whole perimeter of the ground, taking them out of the stands that were out the front, taking one out. We took one off every person. We started at gate 7. We got around to gate 1 and there was just this massive pile. And I looked at NL and I said, pick it up. And he took them all. and then I had to go to the toilets and record all the numbers so I knew which serial numbers I had from and to so that I would know if I won because I couldn't check 400 tickets.
See, I wouldn't have known if I won either because I didn't even walk outside. They had someone on the TV winning it, and I'm there. I was like, oh, fuck, I guess I didn't win then. But yeah, I forgot that even happened. It was in my wallet. But yeah, I did get a boarding pass. That was the most entertaining thing about the fucking game. The fucking boarding passes beforehand.
Yeah, well, that was how we kept warm because we were sitting in our seats and we're like, this is...
You lined your coat with boarding passes.
No, well, I thought, well, this is fucking freezing. I'm not going to sit here for another hour. I'm like, let's go for a walk and get some more boarding passes. So we did. Walked all the way around the ground.
Rossline's a cunt, by the way. How was Ibbotson running laps at 11:15? That was the only bit of live action I saw. Sorry, I did see some. I found my way to the glass when there were no people there. And you could watch him running fucking laps at 11:15.
After the game, was this?
The glass.
After the game.
Because you couldn't see between people's legs.
With 4 security guards sitting on the points of the square, and he's running fucking laps.
Oh.
Ross made him do laps, did he?
Yeah, it's like the old sub rule where they used to have to go out and warm down and get some kilometres into their legs. He had to go out there when there's nothing on and run laps around the boundary line.
Oh,
at
what
11 when there was no one in the ground except the people in the bar watching.
Jesus, yeah, that's a prick's act, that is.
Just on that though, 20,000's a pretty low crowd even by cold Friday night standards.
It wasn't just cold. It was awful.
It was bad, but I got there. I had no reason to...
Yeah, and there was no fucking train maintenance, so there's no excuses.
Yeah, no train maintenance. Yeah, no fucking train maintenance.
It was fucking freezing. Oh.
I waited outside while we waited for people to arrive. It was awful, and we walked out at midnight or whatever the fuck the time was. It was cold, but you fucking front it up.
No, I of course I always do.
Yeah, so the rest of them need to harden the fuck up.
If I was a family and I had little kids, I wouldn't be taking them out into that.
Well, we could have left them at home. Like it was cold, but it was not drown Eddie in an ice bath cold or fucking.
It was freezing. Fuck going to footy in that weather.
You cunts don't know what cold is. Try Toronto in January.
I think the Collingwood supporters could have done more to turn up.
Very soft effort by them. We at least half filled our ground in Tasmania. They couldn't even get 20%.
It was a bad week for crowds. But before we move on, Lachie Neale has re-signed.
Oh, so he's tied his future to the anchor, has he?
Yeah, he's
good for him.
Yeah, he's going to sink.
He's going down with the Ross Lyon ship.
So there goes their trade currency for when they try and get Hogan. Not that I think he's leaving Melbourne, but if he does, he's clearly West Coast bound now.
He's Scarborough bound, and I found his house.
And that's important. Why?
Well, Caro hasn't done it. Neither has any other bullshit journalist.
No one else.
Aaron Riley doesn't because it's a football story.
Exactly right. Nobody else managed to find the precise house he was standing in front of, but I did. Well, that is actual investigative journalism. Yeah. I found the real estate.
You should get a Walkley.
I should.
Yeah, with creeper skills like that, you could rival Man with No Name.
I am a giant creeper, and I went to the real estate website. I searched to see which houses he'd sold in the last 30 days. I made sure the house was sold on a day that Jesse wasn't playing football. I managed to match up the kind of fucking weatherboard house. I'm magic. And look at that. Boom. Actual story. Scarborough bound. Get on it.
If you take this story, Robert, better fucking credit us.
Yes, credit. Hashtag Morgs was right.
Let's move on. Speaking of poor crowds, Hawthorn half-filled the ground down at Tasmania. They were a bit concerning. I thought they were very concerning. They were very lucky too. They're lucky to get past Suns.
Always.
Need a bit of free kick Hawthorn help. they really weren't that impressive. Once again, another performance from Hawthorn that really discounts them from the premiership race, I think, regardless of where they currently sit on the ladder.
Which is,
with
Teach?
the bye approaching.
Can you remind me?
It's somewhere towards
the fucking game in hand.
Pointy end of the ladder, but that'll all be rectified when you come up against us
It'll be
again.
rectified next week by the Kohlers, won't it? Like, literally, it's the Kohlers have a game in hand and have them well and truly covered.
You're on the tip, but you will be shafted.
That was a very poetic way of putting it, Morgs.
Thank you.
So, anything else on that game?
Good to see Ablett back to his best.
He was pretty Rockcliffe-esque this game. Like, I realise I'm probably shooting Bambi here, but I don't know. I just wasn't that impressed.
I don't think you are shooting Bambi because he copped an absolute spray from the bench. He copped a massive spray, and then the guys on the radio commentary said that he might have had it however many times, but he hadn't done a lot. Certainly wouldn't be in his best lot of games.
His best lot of games, a pretty good bunch of games.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just sticking up for Penal, man. Wasn't a great game.
Usually that's Teacher's job.
Yeah, still better than what his teammates can do.
Like, yeah, there's a bit of a difference when you're as shit as a Gold Coaster going. You know, he's trying to do everything himself a little bit.
Of course, it's the Lord and Saviour.
Boganator has not returned since round 3. Let us all down.
Oh, yeah, Morgs was wrong there.
Oh, I know! Fuck off! He even got dropped at one stage. The Boganator.
He's worse defensively than Dangerfield.
Oh, he got bogged down in it all, really. He went to shit.
That Prestier's not going to sign as well, which also sucks. Coming to St Kilda.
He's gone. Be interesting to see where. The Suns really need to, whatever they do, they need to play some hard ball and actually get something other than another fucking draft pick for him. They need to trade like the Giants, and they need to get an established player, even if it's a little bit unders for what they think he's worth. But Hawthorn continued to win in Tassie. It was concerning, was unimpressive.
This was a terrible, typical Tassie game. Like, Tasmania very, very rarely produce attractive games of football. The only notable exception I can think of is obviously Buddy kicking 13.
Oh, this is the Northern game.
We'll obviously continue to play there, though, because we won 18 straight
It's your home.
and 25 out of 26. So we will continue to grace the glorious people of Tasmania with our presence and let them see what a real football team looks like.
So do you actually think Hawthorn played well?
No, like I said, it was a terrible game, but that's what the conditions tend to produce.
Okay, so it was conditions, there was no other factor.
Well, I guess you couldn't expect us to play that well because we were wearing the pink jumper, and I guess there must not have been a lot of pride in that jumper from the guys. It's strange because when I say that jumper, the first thing I think of is pride.
It's a weird fucking jumper.
It looked worse on those promotional images that they had up on the website because it didn't look too bad on running around up there.
Well, they combined the pink and the sting, you know. Looked decent.
Hawthorn really reaching out to their fan base, both the 48% and the 52%. You split down the middle, really. Nothing else on that game?
Well, to be honest, Sicily played well. Impressed with his this season. Looks very good.
He's so good. Goo.
What's his ass like?
Yeah, Bruce, what's his ass like?
Probably delicious. Haven't had a good look at it yet, but I'm making that my mission for 2016.
Let's move on real quickly. The Rockcliffe-esque game of Ablett got discussed, and I actually got to watch Rockcliffe, or I actually got to see him, or not see him play a game live on Saturday, and you really don't appreciate just how fucking useless he is until you see it in action. He was always high on the disposal numbers.
I couldn't remember any of them. Like, I went to that game.
I remember the kick on the full where he went off the ground. I remember that one. And there was a hospital handball in there somewhere. But he had 60 metres gained at half time from 16 disposals. Like, no wonder he wasn't noticed.
He's the anti-Jack Stephen.
He's the anti-Cyril.
He's the absolute crab. No, not a crab. What's something that only moves backwards? Like
a rower, pretty much. Sits on his ass, goes backwards.
Yeah, he's a rower. You know what? He's not just the rower. He's the fucking person in the boat that tells them, the rest of them, when to row.
The Cox.
That's him, because he's not even pulling the boat backwards. Yes, he's the Cox.
He's lay down Sally. He just doesn't give a fuck.
Well, no, that's Pierce Hanley, I think. Did anyone see his work on the mark?
I was just too busy like yelling at someone or not even giving a shit.
He's too busy doing a Joel Selwood sulking at the umpire to stand the mark. It was reminiscent of, was it Josh Hill, cracked the Sads when he was at the Doggies and wouldn't man the mark a few years back. But yeah, the footage is pretty funny. Just, he went full plugger on that umpire, really.
This is Jack Rewalt should probably be All-Australian centre-half forward this year.
Well, he was last year and he's having a better year this year.
Yeah, he's been fantastic in that role, and Martin, again, was brilliant, despite what his cock-brained coach says in the last quarter.
Yeah, 20 and 40, a good game. Look, there wasn't a lot to get out of this game. Look, the only other thing was Crabwatch it was an interesting game to compare Rockcliffe with. Lou Taylor was out there for, as he always is for Crabwatch. And Brandon Ellis was there too, so it was like King Crab and up-and-coming Crab, and they're all very crabbish.
Well, with that fucking many crabs running out there, it's a miracle that there was any scoring at all.
Well, that's basically Dusty and Jack Revolt making all the difference there. Look, funnily enough, and I will mention this, Brisbane, just when they actually did get the ball up forward, when, they put it in the hands of, well, I don't know, Mitch Robinson got concussed, so I don't know who actually advanced the ball forward. It must have been like someone like fucking Buick or someone, because it certainly wasn't their midfield. But when they put it in the hands of someone who moved it forward, they have some handy tall forwards who will be very good players at other clubs. Shakay and Hipwood, who, they might do alright elsewhere, because they were reasonably impressive.
So, are the Brisbane Lions developing their own, version of the X's, that will be...
Probably, yeah.
Well, they've got a couple good ones. Polek, Yo, and Doherty, I guess, are the main three.
These guys don't really kick goals, though. We're going to get a Brian's X's that can really probably kick a score, so...
So it's going to be a Brexit.
Yes, it'll be another Brexit. This one will make a lot more sense, though. Nothing else on that game?
No, I didn't see it, so can't really comment. But, just have to agree with you that you really do have to, stamp a foot down on the neck when you get a team in that position if you're going to be a contending team, because you've got to get the percentage from somewhere to beat off everyone who's going to be clambering at the bottom half of the eight.
I agree.
Beat off everybody else who's clambering.
Got to beat them all off.
That's the Hawthorn way. Last game, Giants, well, they did their job against Carlton. Not a whole lot out of this game. Just Stevie J continues to make Geelong look really stupid for getting rid of him whilst they kept Motlop. He 20 and Ford as well, just like Revolt.
Toby Green, he only got one goal. Disappointing effort from him. Mr. 20 and 3, letting us down.
Yeah. But, they're not having problems skiing over some of the shitty teams now. The Giants are actually starting to, put up percentage against Carlton. They really skied over them quite late. So
I thought that this one might have been a danger game for them, because they would have been feeling pretty good about themselves and where they were at this
probably
point
not
of the
after
season.
They fell in against Essendon. That's probably what helped them.
Yeah, probably. And they've come out and put Carlton to the sword, and Carlton have been showing a little bit of form, but we are starkly reminded of the gap between the better teams and the not so goods. And GWS, they're going to finish top four by all accounts.
Could be
probably
hosting a final up at Fortress Spotless at this rate.
That's bloody scary.
That's very scary.
Yeah, this is Carlton hang in the game for 3 quarters, but the class of GWS just prevailed.
Yeah, they're just not good enough to actually go with a team like that when they get running. Because the Giants are, even for good sides when they get going, that's what happens when you got the talent they got. They just flick the switch, and they're not getting much out of Jeremy Cameron still. And Patton was playing down back. This is the thing. It's Toby Green and Stevie J doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Rory Lobb as well. It's a true contested marking beast. Yeah, these are the guys doing the job. Just wait till their stars actually get a bit of form up.
So Carlton, we think, are good enough to be able to go with the crappy mid-table sides like Geelong, but they just...
bloody ha! Well done, dickhead.
Won't be able to compete with the best teams.
Can I just make note of something? We've been talking about the shit crowds this week, but they did get 10,355 at Spotless, which is not bad. In fact, it is more than the 10,121 they got down at Aurora Stadium.
Do you believe those crowd figures?
Yes,
though?
I do.
That's the question.
Obviously. Well, actually, I don't believe the Tassie ones, because I saw that crowd. There was no one fucking there. They must have done a head count. So, yeah, the GWS Giants have gone and outdrawn Hawthorn. That's got to be a little bit embarrassing for you. The franchise going past you both on and off the field, Penal.
No. Why is that embarrassing?
You got outdrawn by the Giants.
In your stronghold of Tasmania, your traditional land.
Yeah, in an AFL state.
Your home ground, their home ground, and they drew more people than you.
There's one person to blame for all this. Jasny, why didn't you go to the game?
Why didn't Jasny go to the game?
There's no Matt Weller.
There's Grant Birchall.
There's no Weller. Weller has like the perfect hair, can kick goals.
Well, Weller was playing at Etihad on Saturday night, and even that game only drew like 25k, and that was the indoor breeze Etihad, where the conditions won't adversely affect you as much. So what was going on, Geelong and St Kilda fans?
Hey, we rocked up. 27k St Kilda supporters rocked up. Not our fault. 1,000 Geelong supporters can't get a train. It's a long journey, man. It's 60 minutes on a coach.
Yeah, what was this about Geelong supporters blaming a 60-minute coach trip for loss?
Some guy on the main board like, it's as bad as an interstate trip.
Oh, Jesus, what a flog.
It takes 60 minutes to get to the airport for most clubs before they even hop on the fucking plane.
Go into
it's not just
security
that. I mean, clubs travel distances every week to games. That's absolute bullshit. Geelong have been doing that for 150 years.
And it's taken until 2016 to be a problem. Fuck me. No wonder they had a 44-year premiership drought. This genius wasn't in charge.
He's like sitting at home watching a TV from Geelong on Saturday night. He's like, I've solved the puzzle.
We're going to have a dynasty where we win 2 flags in a row. Let's move on, because that is very much a bye week discussion when no one's got anything better to be saying, so they start thinking really stupid ideas. And, well, bye week has brought with it, once again, this seems to be almost a yearly thing now, with the way injuries pile up. The idea of the mid-season draft or trade period, free agency period, mid-season, which, I don't know about you, but I think it's fucking ridiculous. I'm partial to the draft idea, but fuck me, we don't need in-season trades.
I'm just going to say it. Fucking bye week is worse than the off-season, because off-season is usually funny. Bye week is just a cringe fiesta. Like, fuck me.
Like, I can understand, like, say some good players in VFL, Sandford, all that. Give them a rook chance, or a team.
They could get a career out of it. Like, that could be a story.
Yeah, or a team that gets like
a good story.
Has all
you're right. If someone's having a cracker of a season, the next layer down, the next tier down, they can get pulled in by a mini draft. Then why not? I think I agree with that.
Like, look, last year, Mitch Brown could have got a second chance at AFL level, and it wouldn't have to have been at Essendon.
Yeah,
keep forward.
You'd use that kind of Essendon type system where you've got players running around in the twos or recently delisted or whatever, and you can pick them up mid-year via a draft system to fill a hole in your list. Like, Port would probably really need a ruckman right about now. Like, obviously, because, well, buyer's remorse with Ryder, no sympathy there, but they didn't know Lobbe was going to get injured.
And Doogie Howser got injured.
So, yeah, they'd probably want ruckman. But I just don't know how you would effectively do trades.
Well, you know who made the most sense out of everyone this week, which is amazing on the whole trade idea? Steve Johnson, who, one, he made the point that list management's an art form, but also you're talking about players actually taking mid-season, taking game plan and intellectual property with them to other clubs if they do get traded, which is true. Because
that's true, yeah.
You know, if you're stuck on a list, you're stuck on a list. That's fucking how it is. It's much easier to make it work if you're going to draft out of... Even drafting out of a state league's hard, because how do you decide who goes first? Do you make them all free agents? How do you do it?
It is complex.
You couldn't really do it on current ladder position, because that would kind of affect the end of season ladder position by giving the team that's bottom first access, and that might be the
draft's obviously been and the draw's obviously different, because you've got the Crows are probably lower than their form line suggests, and North are higher than their form line suggests, and such things.
And I just don't know how you would be meant to fucking do anything with the salary cap. Like, you couldn't trade a player for picks because you'd probably run into salary cap issues. Yeah. And the only thing that would maybe work is the kind of what we saw last year with the Sinclair Jetta straight swap. Like,
those never happen anymore.
Let's try and do it. They are so rare, those kinds of mutually beneficial trades where both teams are trying to fill a hole in their list and they just go a straight swap. Like, how often does that happen?
Not often.
And it especially wouldn't happen mid-season when clubs will shy away from like wanting to strengthen fellow contenders.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing. Who wants to strengthen another contender? So you got teams actually not wanting to trade with someone because, you know, they might rather go to the draft, or they might rather cut their own losses than act on a trade with another club that would perhaps they believe benefit the other club more than benefits them.
Yeah, and what you'd potentially get is what people have been complaining about what free agency is that potentially you'd get big clubs who are maybe one jigsaw puzzle away from a flag or top four trying to raid bottom clubs because like maybe Dogs might try and sign Cloak or something. Actually, I think Collingwood would probably go for that.
But the only way how I can see like a mid-season draft working is if a club like has all its players suffer from like Ebola, something like that. This needs to be something extreme.
I mean, it's never got to a point where a club has been unable to field a side.
It's got close a couple of times late in the season.
Well, yeah, you had Ross. Ross Lyon said Freo have 28 fit players. I think Collingwood, Morg said a couple of weeks ago they had 25 or 26. So in that situation, you've got players on a long-term injury list. May as well pick up a couple state league players to act as depth.
In the days of crazy Mark Harvey, I'm pretty sure the last round of the season, Freo actually, and the Gold Coast Suns might have done this last year too, these two teams actually listed extended squads of 25, and those squads of 25 actually had legitimately injured players on them who weren't going to be playing, but basically, those 3 emergency spots, 1 or 2 of them were actually held by guys who weren't fit to play. So clubs do battle towards the end of the year at times, and I think the idea is that you can add an extra player, maybe 2, and the salary cap's not such a deterrent because they'd all be getting paid roughly whatever the fuck it is that they get paid. But
the rookie wages.
Yeah, like it would all be a set scale sort of thing. They'd be like draftees or rookies, and you just get to add 1, 2 maximum to plug a hole on your list. And that's not the worst part about it. Like drafting's not so bad, but trading makes no sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Like who would we trade? Like if we were to all make a trade, like what would you bring in and who would you get rid of?
Well,
I'd trade Motlop for a second of potatoes.
We try and get Brad Kraut, but Adelaide wouldn't deal with us. That trade would never happen because Adelaide wouldn't deal because why would they? Maybe O'Meara, but that's unlikely because of salary cap. We'd need to go in at the end of the year.
We'll trade Alice to fucking Brisbane, and you know what? They don't even need to give us anything. They can give us Stephen Martin. We need a ruckman. There we go.
Who would you prefer Richmond to recruit, Rockcliffe or Cloak?
Ooh. Oh, fuck.
Rockcliffe.
No, Cloak, because he's close to retirement.
I'll try Billy Longer to Richmond, or fuck knows what.
You can have Alice.
Richo will turn him into an attacking midfielder like Seb Ross, so yes, we'll take Alice.
I would probably take Cloak over Rockcliffe just because you can hide him in the forward line where he won't do as much damage to your team.
He might accidentally put a few through like he did for the first goal on Friday night.
I'd take Cloak. That way, if we put him close to Hawkins, his ugly goblin face might actually scare Hawkins into running up the ground and getting the ball a bit more.
Well, you take him because he'd be your second best forward as well.
That would be the fattest forward line of all time. Like Cloak and Hawkins? Fuck, they'd have to double their pie budget.
Have we lost Morgs?
She's gone to sleep.
Oh, fucking hell.
And there's the man who put the sleeper hold on.
So where'd you get the chloroform?
Oh god!
No one else knew he was there, did they? He hasn't like made a noise or anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't drop a sneaky line. Well, we've just done our own trade. And we've got Northern Lights stepping in for Morg. And now, who would you trade and for what?
Probably Sam Gibson for a half-eaten packet of twisties. Do you want anyone? Nah, but probably Majak. In all seriousness, like
he's probably Majak to Port or Richmond.
Yeah, because he's not gonna.
Just send him to Geelong for like pick in 21 or something.
That would reduce their diversity quota to be able to meet the Aussie Diversity Forum's high standards.
Speaking of that, I wasn't going to add this to the talking points, but do we see the AFL have someone replacing Mifsud in the diversity role?
Yes.
And it was not Suze. How was it not Suze? I think they've overlooked the most qualified candidate there. Gordon Groves, good friend of Gillen. He knows Suze. I'm surprised he didn't.
Suze was robbed.
Well, maybe she'll send angry petition letters to AFL House like she keeps begging to be let back on big footy.
Making a bit of
Let
a deal.
me have this job, you fucking cunts.
She should have drawn out her plans at the AFL, then they could see them.
Next talking point. We need to apologise. Penal, on behalf of Dan, who's listening in, and I think the rest of us who were on last week, I'd like to apologise. Hawthorn are not lucky. You're not lucky. You're never lucky. It was all by design. Extra money outside the cap. The 3 cheat, as it's become known. Cheating the system just like a common Carlton. What have you got to say for your club?
You're not seriously buying this, are you?
Well, I have no reason to believe
This
Damien
is a
Barrett would make anything up.
Yeah, do you fucking listen to Barrett in between reading the fucking Daily Mail? This is fucking hack tabloid journalism style bullshit, and what's happened is Barrett's seen his mate Eddie and his mate Brayshaw copping it from all angles from the media, and what he's done is he's thrown a dead cat onto the table to try and deflect attention.
Sounds awfully Illuminati.
Dead Hawthorn salary cap issues. Notice how no fucking credible media outlet has run with this story? None. Not one. Not even fucking Robbo.
But Robbo doesn't know shit from shit.
Oh, believe me, Robbo knows shit, and he knows this story is a steaming pile of shit, and that's why he hasn't touched it.
So you're in denial over your club's cheating ways. Is that the gist of this, right here?
There is no possible way known that this story is real.
Wasn't also Freo investigated?
Yeah, Freo as well. So yeah, the Geelong won 2013, so yet again another premiership for Geelong that's not back to back.
Who the fuck would be taking... That's how I doubly know sure that this story is bullshit, because who the fuck would be taking up Fremantle's salary cap space? Chris Mayne?
Well, Ross Lyon managed to find space to pay Robert Eddy like $1, so...
This is why Chris Mayne didn't entertain any of those offers from interstate. Yeah, I agree. Dan says it's time for you to give those premiership cups back.
If you look at the history of sort of salary cap breaches, every maybe 3 years there's an issue of a minor breach where on the paperwork they haven't dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, or as we say at Hawthorn, we haven't crossed the I's and fisted the T's. Something like that. I believe that's the saying. What's the Hawthorn saying? Anyway, what happens is there's a $10,000 fine or something for administrative breaches that gets handed out. Richmond had one a couple of years ago, Brisbane, Collingwood, and maybe it's an administrative
listen
investigation.
To this. 3 minutes ago, this was all bullshit. Now it's an administrative error. You're like Roby with his fucking input errors. That's what you are. You're just moving the fucking goalposts. Next it'll be a rogue fucking Mark Evans was on top of it and it's going to get buried or something. I don't know.
No, here's what happened. The AFL are confused and launched an investigation because we paid him in beans.
Nothing else on the 3 cheat? Disgraceful.
The chances of us actually losing premierships over this, zero.
Quite low.
Not even remotely imaginable.
Yes, but they're tainted all the same. No one took away Carlton's one, but they were tainted.
They will take away 2014 to give Sydney another flag. It's the AFL. Would not put past the AFL to do that.
That's a very good point. Although they don't like Sydney anymore because Pridham keeps getting the sooks up.
And GWS is a new cool kid on the block.
Still on Hawthorn. Brad Hill has been taking tips from Good Bloke clearly, driving when he shouldn't. I'm amazed he's not the one you wanted to trade out, Penal.
I've made my thoughts on him well known on here.
He's bringing you some off-season.
A lot of them weren't positive.
Attention now.
But he probably had his best game for the season. On the
I actually
weekend,
saw him hang on to a high ball.
Maybe
he didn't want to be there, but he did it.
He did it. He went when it was his turn, and that was the first time all year that he's done that. So maybe he's finally put this off-season stuff was playing on his mind, like Tom Boyd and the negative gearing stuff. So yeah, he's put all that behind him and playing some decent football. So that's why I didn't throw him up for trade, because he's getting back to form.
So you're just happy with this guy who shouldn't be driving, just going out, so he can drive to the pub and hit people, or let his girlfriend hit people.
No, what happened with the fucking driving thing is his license was reinstated, and it's like at midnight on the 15th, and he goes out driving on the 15th. Well, it was a fucking input error by the fucking guy who took away his license, because he said you could drive again at midnight on the 15th, and then he drives on the 15th and gets busted because apparently midnight on the 15th apparently is the 16th. Don't ask me how that works. I don't make the rules. I just report them. Better fucking journalist than Barrett.
Let's go from that to the final talking point, and this is my favourite one of the week, and possibly just one of those stories that I'm amazed that not more has been made of this because it's hilarious. Heretier Travolta was interviewed last week, and he decided to tell the world how after 2-3 weeks he's still not over the death of Muhammad Ali. I'm starting to get elaborate troll vibes from this guy.
He's either incredibly brilliant or he's that much of an egomaniac. I'm not sure.
Dan's just described him as the prince who needs to shut the fuck up. Sorry, what was that, NL?
I was going to say, his family have already gotten over it, and Buddy and Harry still hasn't gotten over it.
What is it with this guy? It's just, it feels a little bit too much.
How much shrooms has he been having, or weed? That's what I want to know. It's like, if we were to bust down his house, he probably would be has a good hydroponic area, I would assume, with his thinking chair.
I think he's just stupid, but... God, there has to be more on this. It's just...
He's probably like, I need to get in the media. I know. I'll exploit Muhammad Ali's death. He probably thinks that there's similar sort of people fighting against injustices and all that.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Meanwhile, one did and the other just...
Harry probably does believe he is the Muhammad Ali of the 21st century. Whereas he's probably more of the... Well, he's not the Jason Ackermanis of the 21st century because Jason Ackermanis is that. But you know what I'm getting at there.
He's a dumb cunt.
I don't know. He could be the whole attention whore, I'm just doing this to get a laugh and to get my name in the fucking papers thing. Or he could be seriously mentally deranged. And, like, given the shit he's been through, he's seen some shit, fam. And it's like, I think he's got some deep-seated issues that he needs help over. And I hope he gets it. Because I'm going all Alex Rantz, Ben Cousins here. I hope he gets the help he needs. I think Harry O needs to find Jesus, join the Mormons or Jehovah's or whatever makes him feel better.
He's a Buddhist, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a Buddhist. It hasn't worked for him. Come to Christ. Walk with Christ, brother.
He's like the opposite of Romping Winds because Romping Winds has no soul and Harry has too much soul, basically.
He's like a modern-day Dennis Rodman.
Yes, the whole North Korea stuff. Yeah, I could see him defecting, Harry. And just say, yeah, this whole Western civilization thing idea is too much for me. I'm defecting to North Korea.
Kim Jong-un goes, who the fuck are you? And Harry would cry.
So, Brother Kim, you should go on the path of righteousness. Here, sit in my thinking chair. Harry's a weird person.
He is. The other thing is, I don't get why he needs to tell the world he's not over Ali. It's just like, Harry, even if you're still grieving for whatever fucking reason you didn't meet the guy, it's like, does anyone remember when Heath Ledger died and John Travolta gave that really bizarro speech about how sad he was over it and it turned out he'd never met him? No one remembers that.
Vaguely.
Yeah, it was one of them really crazy person sort of videos. It's like Harry. It's like if you're gonna have your grief, Harry, don't tell anyone about it. Just sit in your chair and ponder it yourself.
Probably while smoking a joint, as Snoop Dogg said, smoke weed every day.
Let's go to the questions, and we only have the one question, which is from Smeghead, and he wants to know, in light of the Cola's Wayne Gretzky plug, which was fucking about as plastic as you get.
I didn't see it.
They had Wayne Gretzky, I don't know what he's even doing in Australia, but he was at the SCG and he was fumbling a football in a Cola's Guernsey, and Pridham fucking posted it to Twitter. So, you know, I hope Pridham actually checked to see it was the real Gretzky and not just some impersonate. It wasn't just fucking some other Canadian like Sid. But yeah, in light of that Wayne Gretzky plug, what's the most awkward presentation of a jumper to a sports star from other code that we can think of? Anyone want to have a crack?
I've got one, except it's another code presenting to an AFL player.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester City, you know, the team of the village idiot, the more plastic than Port. They decided to suck up Gary Ablett, and they failed.
Senior
because they
junior?
misspelled Ablett Jr. They mispronounced his name, thought he was his dad. So yeah, that was pretty awkward to watch, but can't expect much from a plastically cunt club.
I'm not going to talk a player as such, because I think the question's a little bit too specific for mine, but I'm going to go with Collingwood and Rob Lowe. The time Rob Lowe was in the circle as they sung the theme song. For a club like Collingwood, like that's something I would really expect from Port Adelaide. That's literally the sort of thing I'd expect from Port Adelaide. Like, just wait till they go to China, and if they win in the China game, they'll let all them fucking businessmen in the circle to sing to the pufferfish song. But clubs do consider the circle kind of sacred these days, I guess, and they kick the cameraman out of the middle and stuff like that. Like, it's amazing to imagine that 15 years ago Eddie Maguire let fucking Rob Lowe in the circle to sing the song. Like, well, not sing the song, but kind of just move his mouth around and smile.
Was this 15 years ago?
Well, when Rob Lowe was like, it was probably his West Wing days or or something when he was probably a bit more famous than he is now.
I'm surprised people knew who Rob Lowe was. Like, I only know him from fucking Parks and Recreation. It was like in the last
Austin
couple
Powers.
of years. So.
Yeah, Austin Powers. Era,
but
probably.
We can't forget there was also where West Coast gave Barack Obama a Guernsey.
True.
But there is only one answer to this, and I know it's not another sporting code, but the Hawthorn One Direction partnership, which has obviously given us the membership theme song, but also One Direction players performing a concert in Hawthorn Guernseys.
No. No, that did not happen.
Yes, it did. And God help us all.
God.
Oh, God. Sweet mother of mercy.
4 of them in Guernseys and 1 of them not.
That's even worse than ABBA performing in Carlton stuff.
Well, I guess the 48% is no longer 48%. It's a bit higher.
It's 80%.
It's 80%
4 out of the
80%
5 members
judging
of
by
1B.
that photo.
Snoop Dogg also performed in a Gold Coast Guernsey. Shows that drug culture.
Yeah. Snoop Dogg liked the Photoshop of him in the dog's Guernsey.
He did.
So Snoop Dogg's a fucking turncoat.
We know he had that weed song. Did he have any songs about coke? Probably multiple, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I hope that's answered your question, Smeghead. There's some great moments in cross-promotion history there.
And some great moments in Hawthorn history.
Let's go to this week on the Bay. Thread of the week. Bit tough.
I've got a nomination. It's a main board thread from 2 weeks ago, but it got locked, and it's only because of something that Northern Lights said that I actually remembered that this thread existed. And it's a thread by Huge Johnson.
Oh,
and,
love that guy.
This thread was called Trades. Is it time to stop using "he would get a half-eaten packet of twisties" in a derogatory way?
What?
He does this shit all the time.
Wait, he was the one who started the thread about the 2050 teams and there were all the father-son shit.
Yes.
Great thread.
And because it was, he posted it on the main board, and Starburns mentioned they have a higher tolerance these days. Tolerance wasn't high enough because this thread got locked, and he got a...
They used to send us all the shit threads, and they don't send us these fucking ones. Do your job, mods.
I'm going to go for the Divi van because of NL's second post SmackDown.
No, I haven't divvied that thread yet, but do you really want to give Divi Blues the thread of the week?
I'll give it NL thread of second
of the
post SmackDown of the week.
I just realised the way we should have second post SmackDown of the year, and I realised we need to use the hashtag for that so that we can have actually a contest for that.
Keep a track of
that, because second post SmackDowns are one of the best parts of the Bay, and I think we should have a hashtag second post SmackDown.
Jeez, I really have subbed in for more because I'm even getting cookies reach arounds. Turn the favour.
So, anyone else got any noms?
DB Swanee's thread was okay, I guess, because there was a bit of a sort of backfire element to that. He got pilloried.
That was pretty funny. And he kept trying to backtrack, deflect to the Muppet writing it. You don't believe what the AFL journalists write. Unless they're Damien Barrett, they don't have any credibility.
It's like all... Like, look at these Geelong flogs getting sucked in by Barrett. How dumb do you have to be?
I thought Red Vest's effort, what's the opposite of skiing downhill, wasn't bad. Javritz as well with the old Geelong cheer squad. But yeah, I got nothing. So if we want to give it to the half-eaten pack of twisties, it's 2 weeks ago. I think we have to give it to one from this week, Penal. So which one?
Divi Blues claims Seuss as a cousin has been good.
It has actually. That's been reasonable.
How cool was the fight?
With
H2F and Mug Punter.
What the fuck was that?
R.D. Hopkins, who's the college try guy, he's been posting some good conversations from Twitter. So it's an open field.
It's a really open
just like
field.
The top 4.
We could give it to the Divi van for, saving us from all the Port crowd threads.
I'll give it to the Game of Thrones thread.
I wanted to nominate that for Flog of the Week and for every fucking mong in that thread.
There's like rational posters smacking down the normal monks. So
that thread's not a good read. I would not recommend anyone read that thread. It's infuriating. The people who want to pick fucking holes. It's like what West Horsham threads where they find stupid things to get fixated on. I'll give Cookie a reach around. I'm drunk and happy.
Drunk Cookie, best cookie.
Speaking of reach around, I think Morgs did have a good one this week. I just can't remember what. So it was the Hogan Melbourne one. That was because it did get a couple of melts.
Hogan prepares to tell Melbourne to go and get fucked. Yeah. No standouts. Very disappointing.
You're all equal first, but you're all equal last.
Yeah, equalisation. Everyone gets a premiership. Everyone gets a thread of the week.
Everybody wins.
Everybody
chairs
wins this week.
With 5 people and 10 chairs, yeah? Like that Simpsons episode.
Yeah.
All right, flog of the week. We must have some better ones. I would like to nominate that Godchin guy in the fucking Game of Thrones thread who's saying how it's poorly written, but he won't tell anyone why. John Hart Jr. for all the crowd threads.
Man with no name. He's finally watching Game of Thrones for the 4th time. He saw tits.
Wait, what happened? Did he not enjoy it the first 2 times, and so he went back and watched it the 3rd time, 4th time?
First 3 times.
Oh, I did hint that we were coming back to this, but it has to be one of our favourites. I think pretty sure he's listening to this show. But, confirmation bias can be a terrible thing, especially with something like umpiring where it's so subjective. And Plugger, the umpires have not screwed you out of the 2016 premiership. You don't have the moral premiership for 2016. They didn't screw you against North. They didn't screw you against the Cats. They didn't screw you every fucking week. They might have screwed you a bit against Hawthorn, because Hawthorn were lucky, that's why that happened. But
we were not.
There is no moral flag. It's just get the fuck over it. There's no anti-St Kilda conspiracy that's been going for 120 years now to keep you to one flag and 27 spoons.
Plugger is a man who always fights for the truth, no matter how dark and grim the AFL is. So keep at it, Plugger.
No Plugger. I'm sure there's a song to describe exactly the stupidity of what you've been saying since Saturday about the umpires, but I'm not the walking encyclopedia on that, so I can't relay that. But I'm sure you can.
Actually, another nomination: John Hart Jr. for his stupid fucking
I think I
threats.
already said him.
We know you're insecure. Oh, well, he deserves another whack.
Well, I don't get why he doesn't make any fucking charts anymore. Like, the G is up. Everyone knows you're D1. May as well go back to making charts and at least become a semi-interesting poster with a niche. The moment he's just another port shit fighter.
Anyone else want to offer a dishonourable?
King Cold.
What did he do?
He was a Drilling Quest that came out with, the coach right.
Okay, yeah, let's give it to
interstate trip.
Yeah, no, that's horrible. Yeah, give it to that.
Last week's poll, we had a poll for the first time in a few weeks. Who is luckiest? 5.9% said the Triple M crew. 11.8% said Tom Rockcliffe, including a Brian supporter. 23.5% said Hawthorn. That's a bit lower than usual. And 58.8% said Jack Watts was unlucky that Divi Blues told the world about their webcam session.
Poor Jack Watts.
Let's go to next week's games, and oh my god, this is another one of those games they thought was probably going to look a little bit better at the start of the year. But West Coast versus Essendon in Perth. I did say they'd lose by 200 this year. I did say it, and this will be the biggest loss Essendon have this year.
I'm going to go West Coast 100.
They will ski, because this is what West Coast do best at home against shit teams, and they don't really get much shitter or less competitive.
Yeah, so I think we all know who's going to win this game. The only thing is it'll be interesting what's the margin going to be and how many goals is Kennedy going to kick. So I'm going to go with 145 and 14.
I'm going to say 213. 13.
I'll go with 127 and 11.
120, Kennedy will kick 15.
Puffers versus Richmond at Adelaide Oval on the Friday. This one probably looked like a better game at the start of the year too.
Yikes. This one, both sides have been so inconsistent, but I reckon Port to get it done just because the sides have been pretty good on the bounce coming back from the bye this year. Unlike in previous years where kind of struggled after the bye. This year it's been, I don't know if they're doing things differently from a fitness or training things, but we saw St Kilda, they looked fresh. Whereas, Port to be really fresh and probably run out the game better.
I think we're going to sneak home in this one, all thanks to a 48-5 from Dustin Martin. He's going to take that criticism, that fantastic fucking motivational criticism on board, and run out the fucking game with a 48-5. Fuck you, Hardwick. Why not? I don't care.
It's a difficult game to tip because Port are crap and Richmond are crap. Port did beat Richmond at the G, so Port Adelaide but just with no confidence.
Yeah, Port just over there.
Suns versus St Kilda. St Kilda have been getting the job done against bad teams this year.
Yeah, but they've struggled away, and so this is probably a danger game for them.
Like, inside mail at St Kilda is that the coaching is taking this game far more seriously than the Cats game, so it can tell you how much they're scared shitless about us fucking this up. So, St Kilda, but just, I shudder to think we're going to fuck this up somehow.
Well, clearly because you're taking it more seriously than you took fucking Geelong. That's probably got something to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how as a Saints supporter going into this game, you'd be nervous as fuck, because that's the thing about a side where suddenly there is expectation to win, where there was none before. And I think we've seen it with Melbourne against Essendon, Carlton against St Kilda, when after they'd won 5 in a row, and
injuries.
then couldn't back it up against a half-fit St Kilda. So it's very much a danger game, and Gold Coast are starting to get their players back. It's not the same side that lost 5 games in a row by 80 points.
St Kilda to win, but I'm not confident. Dangerous game.
They'll sneak home, I think.
Saints.
Probably the only match this round that really has any finals implications, you'd think, or at least is close enough of a contest to consider that. So, Colas versus the Dogs. The Dogs beat them up there last year. Both are coming off the bye. Colas, home ground.
Swans have looked pretty good so far, and I don't
good
think
at home too.
The Dogs don't have enough power to stop Franklin and all that, so Sydney,
too good up there.
I've tipped the Dogs before. They've let me down. They keep letting me down, so I'm going to go with the Swans.
Another close game. So there are a few this round that could be pretty coin toss. Carlton versus Collingwood at the MCG. Both played last week, and Collingwood skied and Carlton got skied over. So honestly, this one's hard.
It's probably the hardest game of the round to tip.
I think Collingwood have had a win. They flat-tracked it, and I think the midfield will run only one way and unaccountably again.
Yeah, I think Carlton not good enough to hold off the Giants, but I think they can turn this one into a bit of a scrap and, probably be low scoring with Carlton. They don't have a great forward line, but, if it turns into a tight contested game, that probably won't matter. I think Bolton to continue his 100% winning record over Buckley.
Yeah, Carlton, just though.
I'll probably have to go with Collingwood on form. I just hope this game's above degrees, because I'm going.
Last game of the round, Melbourne versus the Crows. That's at the MCG. Crows should win, but Melbourne, they surprise you at times.
Yeah, I've just got a feeling this might be one of the weeks that Melbourne have one of their surprise wins where no one sees
and no one would see it coming now, considering.
The Crows.
Well, yeah. Now they're coming off the bye, and
Crows have won 5 in a row against some pretty good opposition along the way.
Yeah, you have to on form tip Adelaide, but if Melbourne win, then we'll all be like, well, yeah, fucking typical Melbourne, eh?
Because they probably play Essendon pretty soon, and then we'll drop that. Oh, they play Freo the game after this. Melbourne probably win this, lose to Freo the week after in Darwin.
Probably
their record
Adelaide.
in Darwin is shocking, so I could see that happening.
But yeah, Northern Lights tip Melbourne. I think the rest of us tip Adelaide.
Yeah.
There's only one game this week I'm really tipping with any confidence, and it's West Coast by a lot. So I guess that's all of it. This was the Flogcast for round 15. Starburns joined by Cookie.
Goodbye.
Penal.
We've got 3 legitimately won premierships. That's what makes us beautiful.
Drew Cheat, our mid-Flogcast trade, Northern Lights.
See you later.
And, well, Teacher's gone, and Morgs is gone. So thanks to them for coming on, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next week.